two main things that you learn when you first start boxing: jab and footwork.
I don't think it was anything that really put him in danger, but it certainly spoiled his usual momentum that he's able to build and really destroy people with.
Thank you, Michael. This is Raina Roan with your KO Fightcast.
You learn it from YouTube. Somebody gonna break your jaw while you trying to throw the uppercut or the left hook.
Welcome back to Knockouts Unlimited. I'm your host, Michael Opdyke.
I'm your host, Joshua Burns.
And we have an excellent card to talk about this evening. So, coming off the back of a great event out in Sydney, Australia, we have the Tszyu Harrison card. And we're going to start at the bottom of the main card and work our way towards that exciting main event. Starting with the Bilbane Tszyu fight. Now, that's not to be confused with our main event of Tim Tszyu, that's Nikita Tszyu. The Bilbane Tszyu fight was quite the barn burner. They only had 6 rounds,
Yes,
so they started off very fast.
And you know, in these 6 rounds fights, they try to go in, establish themselves as quick as possible, trying to score as many points because there was 18 minutes go by pretty quick. And you want to end it as fast as you can. And it looks like both guys were really trying to end it as fast as they could. They said, we're not in here getting paid for overtime. They wanted to get in and get out, get their opponent out of there. But it ended up being a very good fight, very interesting. Style matchup just clashed. And that's what it was. It was just a clash of styles, and we got an entertaining fight.
Absolutely. And while both fighters had great output, it felt like Tszyu just seemed to be a little quicker on the punch, have a little more volume in his combinations, have just a little bit more snap, which ultimately got him that TKO in the 4th round.
Well, I felt like he hurt him every time he let his hands go. Every time he let his hands go, I felt like he hurt him a little bit, at least dazed him. He had him stunned several times throughout the fight, from the opening round all the way until he ended it in the 4th or 5th round it was.
Absolutely. Speaking of entertaining fights that also had entertaining outcomes, let's talk about Hardman and Murdoch.
Yes.
So we've had a lot of talk going into that fight, a lot of good conversation. Ultimately, Murdoch walked away with the decision, which was slightly controversial. We saw quite a bit of talk from Hardman after the fight. For my money, though, I really felt like Murdoch had a little more volume, a little more output on the combinations, did a good job of catching with at least 2 punches in every combo. And while some of Hardman's punches seemed to hurt Murdoch a bit more, again, I think he outscored him.
See, I think that's what the crowd was looking at. They were looking at the harder punches versus the volume of punches. When you're a fan, you had a tendency to look at the punches that are really affecting their opponent versus the punches that are consistently landing. And we saw a lot of punches that were consistently landing from Murdoch, but he was getting hit with the harder shots. But I did think he did enough to win. He did put together beautiful combinations. He just outworked them. And I think the right man got the decision, but I wouldn't have been mad if it did go the other way. I thought it was a very good fight, close. But I think Murdoch got the decision he deserved.
Certainly. Anytime you have a decision like that where it is split, it does lead for a bit of controversy like we saw here, but it makes it that much more exciting when they come back and fight again.
Yes, it does. And you know both fighters will be eager to get back into the ring.
Absolutely. Now let's move on to our bantamweight bout, which was TJ Doheny and Sam Goodman. We had Sam Goodman coming in with an undefeated record and Doheny coming in off of 2 losses. The former title holder for that division, and Sam Goodman being the hungry young lion.
Yes. And you went and you saw Sam Goodman come in there, and he put the pressure on him right away. He boxed great. He did everything he needed to do. Little movements, used some angles, but he touched him up quite a bit. So, very good performance from Sam Goodman.
One of the things I noticed about Goodman was that he fought very physically. Doheny tried to stay a little low, get very tricky with his head movement. Very, very crafty veteran movements, but Goodman stayed very tall, played very physical, and did an excellent job of keeping his lead leg on the outside.
Goodman showed how it's supposed to happen when you train a certain way in camp and you go in there and execute it. He showed exactly what you do when you train for a specific type fight and then you go in and execute that. It was a good job on Goodman's part. He did not let anything distract him when he was in that ring. He stuck to his game plan, and you saw the better game plan, the better fighter came out with the victory.
Absolutely. With Goodman trying to come up in the ranks and now being 14-0, I think that's what his record is,
Yeah.
right? 14-0. With him coming up in the ranks, what do you want to see him do to really solidify his game?
Well, I want to see that level of competition go up even further, and I want to see him just stay busy, get the fights you need to stay, to move up the rankings, and just show us consistency. It all boils down to being consistent, and as long as the fans are seeing you in the ring, they buy into you. They want to see you fight more, and that gives you more opportunity, better paydays, better fighters.
Absolutely. TJ Doheny, obviously, now on a 3-fight skid.
Yes.
What do you think he needs to do to improve? Is it a change of camp? Is it a change of trainers?
I think he just needs to regroup. Go back to the drawing board, think of everything he's done. May have to make some adjustments in training, but it may be preparation. Preparation is key. So he needs to check and see how his preparation is. If preparation is there, then you look at the trainers. You look at see what type of training am I doing? Am I doing the same thing over and over? Am I becoming redundant? Is everyone catching on to what I'm doing inside the ring? Because it looks like he's hit a stale. He's hit a brick wall. He's going to the point to where he has to reevaluate his profession. You either go forward or you go backwards. And right now he's at that stalemate. He's stuck right there in the middle, and I don't want to say he hit that plateau yet. And I would hate to see that because he still has a lot left in him. But you want to see if he can go back to the drawing board and come up with a better style to get back on the winning side of things.
Absolutely. So, now, as we reach towards our main event, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll be talking about that thunderous main event from Down Under, Tim Tszyu versus Tony Harrison.
In here, it takes everything you got to beat your opponent. Strength, speed, stamina, having no fear, knowing nothing can beat you without a fight, but you can't fight what you can't see. African American men have the greatest risk for prostate cancer, so get checked.
Welcome back. All right, so we've talked about the bottom part of this main card. Let's talk about the main event. Tim Tszyu versus Tony Harrison. Originally, this was scheduled to be Tszyu versus Charlo, but
Yes.
due to an unfortunate hand event, or a hand injury, I should say, Tim Tszyu took on Tony Harrison, another top 10 ranked opponent. We saw a lot of interesting things in this fight, didn't we, Josh?
We did. Yes, we did. And because of that Charlo incident, we were able to see how Tszyu would stack up against someone in the top 10, someone with boxing ability as Harrison. And he did good. He did exactly what he was supposed to do, exactly what the majority of boxing knew would happen. But we thought that Harrison would give us more boxing. He did good sticking the jab in his face. He kept the jab going repeatedly, but that was pretty much all you saw from Harrison. Harrison did not throw a lot of combinations. He did use a lot of lateral movement, which I would have liked for him to stay there in the pocket a little longer than he did at times, to mix it up and see what Tszyu would do when he felt punches coming back on the inside. Because the times that Harrison did throw punches on the inside, Tszyu opened up a little too wide. And I thought Harrison would have been able to capitalize on some of his good boxing skills that he has as far as coming up the middle and catching there and shooting. I thought he could have done a much better job as boxing without just utilizing the jab solely.
It was interesting to see the difference in styles that the two boxers employed. Tszyu using his high guard, coming in and pressuring, and like you said, Harrison using his jab, which Zoo ate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner that evening. It was very, very stiff, very, very precise, and Zoo seemed to absorb every single one. But like you said, it didn't feel like Harrison ever put any other punches behind it when he could have. With Zoo coming in with that high guard and leaning forward the way he was, it seemed like he was primed to receive an uppercut.
Yes.
We just never saw it take place.
Yes, because I think Harrison just had one thing in mind: jab, 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 and look for an opening. The openings were there. He created a lot of openings, but he did not pull the trigger on those openings. With that being said, Harrison kind of defeated himself as far as not going through, throwing different combinations. But I cannot take anything away from Zoo. Zoo fought a good game plan in his right, because his game plan was to come down, walk you down, make you just tire you out. He punished them from top to bottom, head, body, head, body. He did what he was supposed to do as a fighter. He believed in his power, and he hurt Harrison several times in that fight. And Harrison did recover, but towards the end, Zoo was just too much for him.
Absolutely. Zoo did an excellent job, like you said, maintaining his aggression, which he talked about in the press conferences leading up to the fight that week, stating he'd stay aggressive throughout the fight. He fought in that mid-range, and we could see with every power punch he landed, Harrison would visibly pause. There was like a half beat in between his reaction after getting hit and trying to move. So we know that Zoo has that power. We know that he can walk Harrison down. I think the question that we'll talk about when we come back is, can he do that to Charlo?
Yes, that is the question, and that's what everyone wants to see.
But let's go ahead and throw it over to our other team member, Sugar Ray, with Big Sugar Ray's Declassified.
Take it away, Sugar Ray.
This is Big Sugar Ray. You know, I go through the history of boxing. I've been boxing myself since 1957. I was blessed, fortunate enough to meet all the great fighters, from Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier. I met Sonny Liston right there at the last. And Sonny, he could take one punch and knock you out. He was such a great fighter. But back in our day, it's not like the Mayweather fights. We fought with 8-ounce gloves on. We wrapped our hands like bricks. It's illegal today to wrap your hands skin to skin with tape. It's like a cast. It'll break your cheekbone, break your eye socket. That's why some of us fighters back then, we had detached retinas in our eyes, because the promoters, be truthful with you, them promoters like Don King, they don't care what happened to the fighter in the end. It's up for us to protect ourselves, and I'm glad today they have it much better for the amateur fighters and professional. Back in my day, we fought with no headgear on. We fought open class. If you just start boxing, I done had 50 fights. They would put you in there with me for me to beat you to death. Because the old referee, he would be punch drunk, and he'd just let you just, bam, bam, keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting. And discourage you. Could have been a great little kid, a great little fighter, a great doctor or lawyer one day, but you beat his confidence down. See, self-confidence is the main thing you like in boxing, anything you do. And you gotta, I wanna lose weight, okay? You got to have self-confidence. You can push away that ice cream. You can push away that chicken. Kentucky Fried Chicken, no, I don't need you right now. I'm gonna go in there and get me some collard greens. I'm gonna get me some broccoli. I'm gonna eat some vegetables today. I'm gonna drink a lot of grapefruit today to lose that weight. But you have to have self-confidence that you can do it. You can do it with your self-confidence. And if you reach for the high, the Almighty God, say, God, give me help, give me strength to do this right here. He'll help you. He'll help you. You see, most of us fighters, we pray all the time. We pray before we even get in the ring, because we know we might not come back out alive. A lot of fighters been took out on the stretch and never woke back up. But that's the profession we choose. We love to do it. It gets us in shape, keeps us out of the penitentiaries. These young kids, that's why I hate the government ain't giving enough money. Governor Abbott here in Texas, where we are, don't give enough money for youth foundations. Therefore, we can help the kids. We can help the kids. We can't help the kids. We got to take care of family, grandkids, grandma, everybody. So if he say, okay, here your salary, here your grant, open this big center up. Now these kids come here, no charge, because they can't afford to know it. But them same kids right there, they can be one day they'll be a governor, one day they'll be a president, and one day they'll be like John Wiley Price. One day they'll be like Royce West, the people we have here in Dallas, or Dwayne Carroll. There'll be some people want to look up to, educational-wise. Not sports all the time. Sports is great. That's what saved me. That's what saved Muhammad Ali. That's what saved Mayweather. That's what saved Mike Tyson. I can go on and on down the line. Sports saved us. Boxing saved us. Other than that, we'd have been running the streets selling dope. We'd have been running the streets shooting kids or got shot ourselves out there in the street because couldn't nobody whoop us. We would have been in the street. But you don't have time to go to the street when you got some discipline and you got a boxing gym, UFC gym, karate gym to go to release that energy. And instead of running the street, you run into the street, come down to jailhouse, your son's in jail. Next thing you know, he's fighting in jail. Next thing you know, he gets stabbed in jail. Next thing you know, he get beat up by gangs in the jailhouses. It's so much, these kids, these young kids, we got to save the future. We got to help these young kids some way, somehow, to build a self-esteem, their self-confidence. It's like the old school said, Red Flock is a friend of mine, long drink. He said, if there's a will, there's a way. Muhammad Ali always say, if you believe in yourself, no one can stop you. Only you can stop you. No one else can stop you. This is Big Sugar Ray Phillips, and you have just been declassified of the wisdom and knowledge and history of boxing from Jack Johnson, Jack Dempsey on up.
You know, I always love hearing the stories that Sugar Ray has. It's so amazing to hear that perspective.
Yes, it is. It's great hearing somebody that's been around boxing that long.
But with that, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back after these messages.
I am not a star. I don't want to be a star. I don't have a great name. The media have never heard of me. No public, no cheerleaders. It's not about winning or losing. It's about reaching your limits, going as far as you can go, and then going farther. I don't collect titles, I collect hours. Hours of hard work. Hours of pain. That's just me. I'm playing for the ultimate victory. The victory over yourself. This is a way of life. There is no finish line. Becoming the best that you can be. There's nothing else that matters. Beating the odds. Fulfilling your destiny. I don't want to be a superstar. I want to be better than that. Just want to be me. Just want to be me.
Welcome back. So, Josh, let's talk Tszyu, Charlo, their shared opponent Tony Harrison, the two Castagna fights that Charlo's had, what we've seen and what we want to see.
I'm just like everyone else. I'm ready to see this fight. I'm ready to see how Tszyu will come in against Charlo. You know, we know Charlo is totally different than Harrison. Charlo is totally different than any fighter that Tszyu has faced. But within that being said, Tszyu is also different than anyone Charlo has faced. Tszyu comes in power. He comes in with a lot of belief. Charlo is more of an elite fighter because he's faced more elite competition. So he has seen more of different fighters, more similar to Tszyu than Tszyu have seen more opponents similar to Charlo. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I see Charlo utilizing his jab and his angles a lot more. They're both going to be throwing bombs, and so I expect them to get caught. But I do expect Charlo to use a lot of more angles. This is not going to be a Tony Harrison fight. This is definitely going to be a Charlo with more boxing skills and more punches coming back at you from different angles.
Absolutely. And talking about jabs and angles, I think one of the things that's going to be interesting to see is how we can compare Castagna and Tszyu's style and how Charlo will face that. With Castagna, you saw him coming in with that high guard in both of his fights, trying to pressure Charlo, trying to get him against the ropes, and trying to fight inside. Now, certainly in that first fight with Castagna, Charlo was being outpointed up until the last 2-3 rounds. He was losing that fight, and he really, really changed people's minds when he hurt Castagna.
Yes.
That being said, in that second fight, Charlo came back. He was aggressive. He was on top of Castagna from the start of the fight, and it wore Castagna down. We saw him be visibly tired and have a sloppier guard as the fight went on, which ultimately led to Charlo getting that TKO.
But I think the difference between Castagna and Tszyu is their amateur pedigree. Also, Castagna had a good amateur pedigree, and he had more fights as a professional. Well, they were pretty much on par as far as professional, but Castagna he had a better amateur pedigree. He's fought a lot more fighters, and you could tell in the ring by the way he fights. Very calm, very relaxed, and he know how to pick his shots. But it is going to be real interesting to see how Tszyu's power affects Charlo when he's in there with him. Because I saw Charlo trade with Castagna a lot. I want to see if he's going to do the same thing with Tszyu. I think he may test him out for a little bit, but I also think he's going to use plenty of angles. Because with Tszyu, he is what you see is what you get.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't think if any tricks he's going to present, I don't think he has anything to worry about outside of what he's already shown.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that's going to be interesting to see is when we look at how Harrison performed against Charlo, we saw Charlo being the more powerful and the faster fighter, but because the majority of Charlo's punches were round punches and the majority of Harrison's punches were straight punches, we saw Harrison landing first. That being said, Tszyu, who's going to get inside and pressure Charlo, will be using very, very tight round punches. He keeps his punches extremely tight. And so I'm wondering if that's going to be a key to success for him against Charlo, where Charlo likes those big, strong, winging punches.
And I agree with you on that, but what can also be Tszyu's downfall is that when he's inside, he opens up too much. And Charlo loves to counter. Charlo is a good counter puncher. And on the opposite side, Charlo likes to wait too long. He waits too long. You can't wait for Tszyu. You can't sit there and let Tszyu get off 3 or 4 punches and then you try to look to counter him in between. You can't do that with someone like Tszyu because we know he's going to be in shape. We know he's coming to fight all 12 rounds, and we're going to see that. I do not think this fight goes the distance. I do look for it to be an entertaining fight. I look for it to be a chess match, but entertaining. The type of chess match this will be, though, will be a real aggressive chess match.
Well, either way, it's going to be an explosive fight. It's going to be an entertaining fight. And we're all excited to see it.
Yes, we are. We can't wait.
But now, let's go ahead and throw it over to our KO News correspondent, Raina Roan.
Thank you, Michael and Josh. This is Raina Roan with your KO Fight News. You may remember that 44-year-old Manny Pacquiao announced his retirement back in August of 2021. However, there are rumors emerging about Pacquiao potentially taking on Conor Benn of the UK. That fight is currently anticipated for June 3rd in Abu Dhabi. However, Benn may be considering 2 other opponents for his return to the ring. For an update on the Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk bout, the two are looking forward to an April 29th undisputed heavyweight championship fight at London's Wembley Stadium. Fury currently holds the WBC title and is ESPN's #1 heavyweight, while Usyk holds the WBA, WBO, and IBF belts and is ESPN's #2 heavyweight. Ahead of this highly anticipated fight, the Instagram trash talking has already begun between the English and Ukrainian fighters. On March 11th, Tim Tszyu claimed his win after a 9th-round knockout over Tony Superbad Harrison. We are looking forward to seeing who Tszyu will take on next. Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. are both available for a fight later this year. Will this be the year that the two match up? In other news, despite announcements of a fight against Jack Catterall in Glasgow, once unified lightweight champion Josh Taylor will now be fighting Teofimo Lopez at Madison Square Garden on June 10th for Taylor's junior welterweight title. In this high-profile bout, the two undisputed world champions will be an even match. Some are questioning Taylor's choice to skip the fight against Catterall. But from Taylor's perspective, there's more to be gained from the bout against Lopez in New York. Speaking of high-profile fights, Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia will finally meet in Las Vegas on April 15th at 136-pound catchweight. Regardless of the outcome, this fight will be much bigger than the belts won. The winner of the fight will also gain tremendous star power, and the stock of both fighters will inevitably increase in the boxing world. A fight against Isaac Cruz and Giovanni Cabrera is expected to be taking place in May or June of this year. We remember Cruz for his close decision loss against Gervonta Davis in December of 2021. Since his loss against Davis, Cruz has won 2 fights. Last but not least, we are highly anticipating the rematch of undisputed featherweight champion Amanda Serrano versus undisputed lightweight champion Katie Taylor. That was set to take place on May 20th. However, Serrano's injury has yet to be specified. It's rumored that her hand may be the culprit. This is Raina Roan with your KO Fight News. Back to you guys.
Thanks as always, Raina. Always wonderful to see what's coming up. Always wonderful to see the exciting amount of boxing we have ahead of us.
Yes, sir.
As always, thank you for tuning in. I've been your host, Michael Opdyke.
I'm your host, Joshua Burns.
And until next time, keep watching.
This episode of Knockouts Unlimited was brought to you by the Blue Planet Media Group.